Did you know the man who brought Black Panther to life was secretly battling cancer, all while filming some of the most physically demanding roles in Hollywood? Stay with us, because today we're diving into the inspiring life of Chadwick Boseman, a story filled with triumph, struggles, and an unshakable legacy. You'll discover his incredible journey, the untold stories behind his rise, his achievements and personal challenges, his lifestyle, his family, and the lasting impact he left on the world. This is more than a biography. It's a reminder of what true purpose looks like. Stay with us until the end, because what you'll hear today will inspire you long after this story is over. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was born in Anderson, South Carolina, in 1976. He grew up in a humble home, the son of a hard-working father who labored in a textile factory and a devoted mother who cared deeply for her children. His upbringing was modest, but it was also rich with values that would shape his future: faith, perseverance, and a sense of duty to something greater than himself. Even as a child, Chadwick showed signs that he was different. He loved to draw, write, and tell stories. In high school, tragedy struck when one of his basketball teammates was killed in violence. That moment deeply affected him, and instead of turning inward, he responded through art. He wrote his very first play, capturing his grief and his determination to turn pain into meaning. It was the beginning of a pattern that defined his life, using creativity to transform struggle into hope. After finishing high school, Chadwick pursued his dream of storytelling at Howard University, one of the most respected historically black colleges in America. At Howard, he studied theater and sharpened his craft. He was guided by mentors who recognized his rare talent, including the legendary Felicia Rashad. She saw in him more than just a young actor. She saw a man with a purpose. Through her support, Chadwick was introduced to Denzel Washington, who quietly paid for him and a group of students to study theater in Oxford, England. Chadwick would later say that without Denzel's generosity, his journey might have taken a very different turn. But the path was not smooth. Hollywood at the time offered roles that were often shallow, stereotyped, and unworthy of his talent. Chadwick refused them. He chose to hold out for roles that mattered, even when that meant struggling financially and waiting years for his breakthrough. His patience was rewarded. Chadwick's first major role that captured national attention was as Jackie Robinson in the film 42. He brought dignity and courage to the screen, showing the world the weight of being the first black man to break into Major League Baseball. The performance was so powerful that it introduced Chadwick to a new audience and established him as more than an actor. He was a storyteller of history. Soon after, he transformed himself into James Brown in Get On Up, one of the most demanding roles of his career. He captured not only the voice and movements of the Godfather of Soul, but also his complex personality. Then came his portrayal of Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice, in the film Marshall. Each role Chadwick accepted had meaning. He chose to embody figures who stood for change, resilience, and black excellence. He wasn't just playing characters, he was giving new life to legends. But his greatest role was yet to come. In 2016, Marvel cast him as T'Challa, the King of Wakanda, better known as Black Panther. The film was more than just another superhero movie. It was a cultural revolution. For the first time, millions of children saw a black superhero as the lead in a massive blockbuster. The film celebrated African culture, history, and identity with pride. Wakanda became a symbol of strength, innovation, and possibility. The Wakanda Forever salute crossed borders, uniting fans worldwide in a message of dignity and power. Chadwick carried the weight of this role with grace, fully aware of its historic importance. He became not just a king on screen, but a symbol of representation and hope in real life. And behind all of this, what no one knew was that he was carrying another battle, one far greater than anything his characters faced. In 2016, the very year he first appeared as Black Panther, Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. For most, this would have been the end of a career. But for Chadwick, it was the beginning of something extraordinary. He chose to keep his diagnosis private, telling almost no one outside of his closest circle. While the world saw him as strong, powerful, and unstoppable, he was quietly undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy. Yet, he never let his illness define him. Through pain, exhaustion, and unimaginable struggle, he continued to work. He filmed Captain America, Civil War, Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers, Endgame, Da 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, all while fighting cancer. Fans noticed his weight loss in public appearances, and speculation spread. But Chadwick never explained. He kept his dignity intact, allowing his art to speak louder than his suffering. His silence was not weakness, it was strength beyond comprehension. Behind the camera, Chadwick lived a life of humility and love. He quietly married Taylor Simone Ledward, the woman who stood by his side through his darkest days. Those who knew him personally described him as grounded, spiritual, and deeply kind. Co-stars often shared stories of how he would stop to encourage young actors, remind people of their worth, and create an atmosphere of respect on set. He lived with a sense of purpose, never consumed by fame or wealth. By the time of his passing, Chadwick had built a net worth estimated at around $12 million. Unlike many celebrities, he did not spend his fortune on flashy extravagance. Instead, he gave generously, donating to hospitals, supporting children fighting cancer, and uplifting causes that mattered to him. His wealth was never in what he owned, but in the countless lives he touched. On August 28, 2020, the world was shaken by the news of his death. At just 43 years old, Chadwick Boseman was gone. Millions grieved, from children who had looked up to him as their first black superhero, to leaders and artists across the globe who respected his work. Tributes poured in from every corner. Marvel Studios made the decision not to recast his role as T'Challa, because his presence was irreplaceable. His legacy lived in the hearts of those who saw him as more than an actor. He was a symbol of what was possible. Chadwick Boseman showed us that true strength isn't measured by fame or fortune, but by living your purpose, even in silence, even in pain. His journey is a reminder that our struggles don't define us, but how we rise above them does. He may have left this world too soon, but his impact is eternal. Heroes may die, but legends live forever. Wakanda forever,